Give Us a Wing was I suppose, a heavy metal album, a little before its time. I'm not sure whether it was the album that the record company was expecting, but we'd been following in the steps of bands like Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin in Europe, playing the kind of halls they were playing, and we were let off the leash. It was my first moment in the producer's chair, and I wasn't going to let it go easily. Germany was like our second home. Places like Munich and Hamburg, every time we used to go over there, we wanted to spend some time, at least 2 or 3 days off in either of those cities. West Berlin was a completely different animal. You could go there for 4 days, do 1 or 2 shows, and, you know, the place never went to sleep. But Munich and Hamburg were the 2 happening places, really. And we'd heard about the studio in Munich, and I think the Rolling Stones were recording there, or at least had been recording there. And we bumped into, it must have been Rainbow, it couldn't have been Deep Purple, in a nightclub. And they said they were going into Musicland. Now, I knew nothing about it, really. There was no internet. You couldn't really follow it up. You had to go and see it. And I think my tour manager and I, we shot over there one morning, met somebody, might have been Mac actually, and went downstairs under a hotel and saw this really nice kind of setup, huge monitoring and a huge desk. Looked a lot different from some of the studios in the UK, but the proof of the pudding is when you're actually in there recording. Well, several bands had obviously been in there. I have a feeling it was Giorgio Moroder who was involved with the setting up of the place. The engineer, Mac, was fantastic. Great ideas. And we'd had a song called Action that we released in the UK before it was released anywhere else. I guess the record company needed to get something out. And while we were actually in Musicland, we had to fly back and do Top of the Pops and then fly back out again. You know, real international superstars, weren't we? So there we are. We're now in Musicland, and Max heard Action, and what he decided to do was, one morning before we went in the studio, him and his tape op edited up the intro that you now recognise as the intro, with the synthesizers and the strings and the cellos, which wasn't on the British version. And when I came down, he said, "Just give me another half an hour and I'll play you what I've done." And when I walked in there, it was absolutely fantastic. I don't know how he pulled it all together, but, you know, he had an idea in his head. It was at this point that he said to me, "I would like to be your record producer." And I said to him, "I'm sorry, Mac, but I've only just got in the chair and I'm not getting out of it. You know, it's my first production. This is our moment." He understood, but I still think he might have been somebody maybe later on in our career that might have been interesting to have worked with. But Queen came into Musicland after we had, a few years later, and he became their record producer. So, you know, what goes round comes round. I remember us getting an absolutely fantastic drum sound down there. It could only be done at certain hours of the day. There were huge lift shafts and a huge metal corridor that if you opened the back door, the service door to the studio, and put a microphone down in the metal hallway, you got this incredible drum sound. I mean, it's all over. Tracks like Cockroach and The Healer and songs like that. And the depth and the bass end in that studio was just outrageous. We all had a good time there. It was a great place to work. But when we brought the tapes back to London, we realised that they were really uncuttable to try and get the level that we needed. So I went into Kingsway and did a full remix on the whole album, softening it slightly, taking away some of the stereo backing vocals, which in a mono sense on radio would never have happened. So we had to undo some of the great work. I mean, there are mixes of the Munich sessions. What we ended up with was a more, should we say, sweet-sounding record, having remixed it in London, rather than the Led Zeppelin, the Black Sabbath version that there would have been had it been left in the Germans' hands. Anyway, that's my synopsis of what happened in Munich. And all I can say is, give us a wink. Enjoy listening.